Hello and welcome to Engine Adventures review of this 2022 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. It hasn't changed too much, if at all, since the last TRD Pro that I had, but it's still an amazing off-roader. It's one of the best. I'm trying to think of any other SUVs that would keep up with this. And honestly, I don't think there are any. You have some like the Grand Cherokee. I don't know that they do the Trailhawk still, but there are only a few in this class that even have some off-road capability, and this one has a ton of it. It's super smooth at high speeds. It's an excellent vehicle off-road. Be sure and check out the off-road video, but that's not what this video is about. Let's just do a quick overview, go through everything inside and out, check out the engine bay, and do a little on-road driving with it, and then be sure later we'll do the off-road video. Here is that 4-liter V6 with 270 horsepower and 278 foot-pounds of torque, and despite the engine cover being off-center to the right, as far as I can tell, there's the left bank and there's the right bank, so the engine's centered in there. You can see the coil right there for the spark plug right there on top. The engine's centered, but this cover is way off to the one side over here. A lot of room in here, just like the Tacoma. Actually, there's a nice little pocket back there if you're adding an air compressor or second battery or something, and decent amount of space. It doesn't seem like it would be that bad to work on, apart from having to remove a bunch of plastic stuff. A couple of things to note on here: not real. Does have that sweet roof rack on there for those who like it. I'm not 100% committed to this thing yet. You can, so I don't know how well this is showing up. You can see 3 rails here. You can move this upper one down to here as well. Move them up or down. It's kind of a 2-level thing. If you have stuff that fits inside the basket, then put all the rails down and put stuff inside the basket. If it's too wide to fit in the basket, you can put the rails up here on top, and then it'll stick off the edges and you'll be just fine because you're too wide. Anyway, because you're on the top and it will allow it. So I guess there are some features there, but it's kind of a big bulky thing, and I'm not an overlander. I have to talk to an overlander to see if that thing's useful or not. Inside, pretty similar to any of them from the past quite a while now. I don't even know when this generation came out, but hasn't changed recently. I thought I started it. There we go. Toyota really needs to work on their camera system, and I don't know why they haven't been doing little updates. So over here on the left hand side, we have the camera button here, a blank, the AC power outlet, and then the heated windshield washer or wipers, and then your mirror controls, interior lights, and auto high beams. So go ahead and hit the camera button here, and you can just see how it's not blurry. It's just not high definition, high quality cameras. They're just not really clear, and they're helpful if the object that you're approaching is large and significantly different in color than the surroundings, but it's almost like so pixelated and hard to see that it is a little difficult to make out objects in there. And the surround view camera systems are great. The screen's a little bit small, but that's not the issue for me. The issue is just the quality of the image from the cameras. Yeah, I love the manual shift 4-wheel drive. You know when it's in, you know when it's out. It's out, it's in. It's gonna try and go to neutral. And oddly enough, this one's pretty easy to shift. I just had to go to neutral to get into the 4-wheel drive neutral, and then 4 low. This thing, super easy to shift. It's probably just how I'm sitting right now, but this is one of my features that I much prefer on a vehicle to the electronic, just because sometimes the electronic ones, you're waiting for it, you don't know if it's engaged. On these, pull the lever, you're in 4-wheel drive. Climate control, everything's right here for that. Hard buttons, easy to use. Dual zone, right there and right there. Your radio, you have volume knob and tune knob, and kind of your basic stuff here. It does have maps and everything here. It's not been updated yet to match the new Tundra with the subscription services and all that. And an okay amount of information here. You can see the tire pressures and steering angle on that one. And go back to the information. This is all your driver aids, just your cruise control and lane keep assist here, no messages. And then a bunch more settings here. One thing you don't get is a trans temp, so if you're towing, you're not gonna have that information. Your off-road controls are up here, and your home link, sunroof, and that's also sunroof. You have traction control, A-track, and your rear locker. Up here you have 2 separate dials for multi-terrain select and for crawl control. That's nice to have sometimes. Some of them are all hooked on one dial. I like the 2 dials, and I don't mind it being up there. You just have to know where it is. Sometimes you'll find a rear locker button over here. Sometimes you'll find them down here. It's nice having everything up here all together, easy to reach. And this is another one of my favorite features of the 4Runner. This is the rear window that opens like that. The new Tundra has that, but the Sequoia will not. The glass does open, at least on the Sequoia. It just doesn't open like sliding down into the back. Let's take a look. I don't know. It has these cup liners, so if your cup's too big, you pull the liner out, then you got to put the liner somewhere. A little bit of carbon fiber trim here. It's just plastic made to look like carbon fiber, but there's no other carbon fiber, so you have kind of a piano black up here and a brushed metal here. It's still plastic, but brushed metal look. There's just a variety of different colors. I don't mind it. I don't think it looks bad. The only one for me that's out of place is this carbon fiber. I would prefer that it not be there. And then in the center console here in the front, you have just a 12-volt outlet, and I think that's a little coin holder right here on the front, but it's only for one side's a coin. And then tissues, you can hold a pen or a pencil there on the side. So not a lot in there, but adequate. That's what you need. No wireless charging. There's a little pocket here on the front that my phone's too big to fit in. Most phones will be too big to fit in there, and it's not very deep anyway. And then another pocket here. It's a little bit deeper, but again, not a lot of space in there. And a little cubby, again, not sure what that one's for. And over here, another cup holder with a little pocket. Heated seats right here. It's a little dark in here. Hopefully this shows up well. There's plenty of room here for the average person, even, you know, over 6 feet tall. You should have plenty of room. Up here is where it's going to get a little tight with headroom, and not much going on back here. 2 USB, regular USB A's, and 2 vents here, and that's about it. You don't have, I mean, you have power windows over here and a cup holder down in there. 2 more cup holders here. Looks like that one got twisted and smashed a little bit. And then this whole center section can fold down. It gives you kind of access to have longer items in here, but this is really quite high up. and so it angles it up above out here instead of resting on the center armrest there. And yeah, so that's about it for the second row, but the seats do fold flat, so you can flip that forward. There's no storage or anything underneath there. And then up here on top, there's a button. And if you fold the headrest down first, then you get a somewhat flat load floor, but this is angled right here. So you have flat, angles up, and then flat again. Not gonna be the most comfortable thing to sleep on unless you build a small platform or something in the back to raise it up and make it kind of all flush with this upper piece. It does have reclining seats, so in the middle row, rear row, whatever, you can see that right there. You pull this handle and push the seat back and it will recline. There you go. So on this side, I can show you that. Pull the handle and the seat reclines to about there. And it's not terribly uncomfortable, but there is, kind of makes this transition a little bit rough right there. Not the most comfortable thing if you're trying to lay back, but you could probably use pillows or blankets and make it a comfortable seating position. Let's go to the rear of the vehicle. Rear hatch, pull the handle there, unlock it. It's not powered, which is okay. You have a little bit of storage there, but taken up by the jack and tools. There we go. And no storage underneath here. That's where the spare tire is, right there. Here's the inverter. It's 120 volt or 400 watt. And it has little cubbies here on top of the wheel wells on either side. Has the mounts for the window shade. A couple little anchors around, that's for groceries, and then anchors in the bottom so you can tie stuff down as needed. I was gonna show, oh yes, the tires. I haven't talked about the tires yet. Nitto Terra Grappler all-terrains. These ones are 265 70 R17s. I believe that's a 32, but I'll put that number up on the screen. But they're slightly more aggressive than the Michelins that used to come on the TRD Pros. And I don't know, I think the 4Runner has been getting these for a while now. And the Tacoma stuff had, the Tacoma and Tundra had some sort of Michelin all-terrain on the TRD Pros, which was not a very aggressive tire, but these ones are much better. And then this one came with the Toyota first aid kit as well, and that's just Velcro, so you could Velcro it anywhere to the back of the seats or whatever. Take a look at the window sticker. Base price $52,120, and the optional equipment on this one is a total of $100 for a cargo mat. With destination of 1215, total is $53,435, and that's pretty pricey. You get a lot. You get an excellent off-road capability. It comes standard with 15 speakers, the sub, the amp, 8-inch touchscreen, all the surround view stuff, locking rear differential, multi-train select, crawl control. It's got the tow hitch with the 7 and 4 pin connectors on it. It has a 7 pin, but there's no brake controller built into it, so that's interesting. If you're gonna run brakes, you gotta install your own controller still. And the sunroof, all that stuff, it just comes standard on this vehicle. There are a lot of features in here for it being standard, and I like that. I mean, that's let me rephrase that. I like the features that it has, but there are very few off-road trim vehicles that you can get without having some sort of a luxury package with the leather, with the heated seats, with the heated steering wheel, which I don't think this one has. Anyway, the luxury packages seem to include all this stuff. You can get a Ram Power Wagon Tradesman. The Colorado ZR2 seems to come with most of this stuff as well. Jeep Wrangler Rubicons come fairly well equipped. It's just the way the Pro 4X, you can get that one with cloth seats and stuff too, but in general, these vehicles come really well equipped. And for a lot of people, they don't need or want all of this stuff in their off-roader. And I've been talking with people more recently that they would love to just have a factory option front locker, be able to order whatever truck they want and have the locker be an option separate from everything else. So you don't have to get this crazy off-road package to be able to get it. The 4Runner's older engine and transmission seem to do better on the freeway, in my opinion, than the Tacoma. And I think a lot of this has to do with the 5-speed transmission. So the Tacoma only has one more gear, but it's always trying to stay in the highest gear. And with the 4Runner at 75 miles an hour, you're around 2,000 RPM, and it's high enough in the RPM range that it's getting a decent amount of power at that level. This old 4-liter V6 is gets torque a little bit lower than the newer 3.6 liter V6. The 3.6 or a 3.5 in the Tacoma. Either way, I think it's a 3.5. The 4-liter does a little bit better as far as low-end torque goes, and I much prefer to drive the 4Runner on the freeway to the Tacoma. Now the other side of that, well, I guess with both of them, is the Tacoma at least has a little bit more of a trucky suspension versus the 4Runner. So the Tacoma is slightly more stable at higher speeds. Not much. It still leans quite a bit in the corners, and this 4Runner definitely leans in the corners. The suspension is tuned for off-road driving, which it does amazing at. Be sure to check out the off-road video. But it certainly on-road lacks a lot of control that you get from less off-road oriented vehicles, and that's just kind of the trade-off. That's totally fine. There are a few vehicles that can get around that, and they do okay at it, but things like the ZR2 with the Multimatic shocks and the Raptor and the TRX that all have, the Raptor and TRX both have adjustable damping, so they have valves and stuff in them that are adjusted electronically, but even those lean quite a bit in the corners, and some of that's from the big tires and all that. So as far as on-road driving goes, it's still just fine. It's not an issue to drive it on the road. It doesn't bother me. It just isn't as stable and planted as even the same as a 4Runner limited trim or something like that. And the trade-off for me personally, it's totally worth it. This vehicle will be so much smoother off-road and much more enjoyable. You can get places faster with less jarring in a TRD Pro than you can even in a TRD off-road. So the other thing with this is the droning. So just manually downshifted a gear. I don't know if you can hear that, but it drones quite a bit when you're accelerating above 2,500 RPM. Right now at 2,000 I can even hear it, but it's not real bothersome at 2,000. But as you get up a little bit higher, 2,500 to 3,000 RPM, it is quite loud. And I imagine if you're towing or really heavily loaded, that you're gonna be in that range where it drones a lot more. So for those that are going to be towing a small trailer, small boat, camping trailer, or whatever it may be, it's gonna have enough resistance there that you're probably gonna be droning a lot more. And for me, that's really annoying. On the flip side, I do enjoy the sound of exhaust on occasion, but it's just a little bit too much. Highway Patrol's sitting here, so we can't do the S-curves. Weird. Not sure why Highway Patrol's just sitting there. I mean, we can kind of do a little bit here, just not as fast of a speed, and you can already feel the body lean. And yeah, for sure. Can't push it to its limits, but anyway, I can feel the lean there. At much slower speeds, it's not made for canyon carving on pavement. It's made for flying through high-speed off-road dirt trails. Okay, 0 to 60, and should be ready to go. 3, 2, 1, go. This is flat footing, just as you'd normally be driving down the road. Okay, hopefully we got it. Thank you for watching Engine Adventures review of this 2022 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. This thing does okay on the road. Nothing to worry about. It just has a little bit of brake dive, a little bit of lean in the corners. But off-road, it makes up for it with its incredible capability, especially at high speeds. This thing is an excellent trail runner. You getting out to your fishing hole and stuff like that. It can tow a little bit, not a whole lot, but anyway, pretty great vehicle. Pricing a little bit high, but nothing insane for the capability and features you get. And anyway, if you liked what you saw, be sure to hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post new videos, and give me a thumbs up. Also, comment down below any questions, comments, things you want to see, things you like, things you didn't like. Let me know. And have a great day.